out cards, rent is due, we just need some extra cash to help us get by.
Maybe we should go to 27cash.com.
With our bad credit,
27cash.com is one of the largest personal loan networks. They can help people with any type of credit get up to $5,000, and cash can hit our bank account as soon as tomorrow.
When you need extra cash, go to 27cash.com. That's 27cash.com. 27cash.com.
Struggling with back taxes or unfiled returns? Owe the IRS $10,000 or more? With the IRS ramping up enforcement, taxpayers across the country are turning to tax relief helpers. Call 800-885-0622 now. End IRS stress today. Stop collection efforts, wage garnishments, and sleepless nights. Tax relief helpers can help you or your business settle your tax debt quickly and affordably. Call the Tax Relief Helpers hotline at 800-885-0622. That's 800-885-0622. Start your relief today.
Lots of sunshine to start off your weekend. We'll continue to melt that snow away with highs in the lower 40s and winds out of the west-northwest.
A beer or two. Welcome to the Hockey Guys.
Hands to you.
The best college hockey radio show in the country. This is Jeff Bradall, Eddie Christian, and Doc Phil Johnson.
Somewhere over the rainbow, Johnson.
Catching some trout, throwing the rod.
Rainbow trout. Over the rainbow. Did you catch the little pun that was intended there?
Well, a lot of activity going on in the hockey world, and I know we're a college hockey radio show, the best in the country, but you can't pass up Ovechkin. Ovechkin tying the great one.
Keeping Gretzky in the news.
Yeah, Wayne Gretzky. Catching him last night in a home game against the Chicago Blackhawks, and after he ended up tying the great one, Gretzky, the fans in anyway, the fans were
at the Verizon Center in Washington, D.C.
There you go. I was trying to think of the name. We're booing Spencer Knight, the goaltender of Chicago. They wanted Ovechkin to get one more to overcome
the great one.
The great one. Say, Doc Phil, we got the audio right here for you. Goal number 894 to tie Wayne Gretzky, Alex Ovechkin. And you know, Eddie, what was great about that is Ovechkin scored that goal from where he always scores goals, right? Where he gives it the one-timer by the goalie.
He just stands around and gets the puck.
I know, but what was awesome is the defenseman had the puck on the power play with the umbrella, but when the top guy on the blue line had the puck,
Carlson,
Ovechkin's stick was on the ice. He showed Carlson where he wanted the puck. And then when that puck was on its way, that's when he lifted his stick. So for the young players out there, if you want the puck and where you want the puck, get your stick on the ice and you got time to lift it up. Doc, did you see that goal last night?
I did. It's pretty darn amazing. But you know what? I mean, all the accolades that he is getting, and rightly so. I mean, he's one of the greatest players ever. I remember in the World Junior Championships in Grand Forks, 2005. You know, he was obviously going to be just a super talent. He, along with Sidney Crosby and Malkin. I mean, that's still the greatest World Juniors ever. But you know, the one thing that I think really kind of won me. I mean, there for a while, you know, he was a little different. He's a little arrogant. He comes from a different culture. But the thing that really impressed me about how great of a person he really is, and I think he really is, I don't know if you guys caught this, but when they played the Wild, and I think that was about a week or so ago, at the end of the game, all of his teammates were going off the ice, down in the tunnel and back to the room. He called them all back onto the ice to go over and shake Marc-Andre Fleury's hand because this is his last season. I thought that was really a class move, and it wasn't played well enough, I think, in the public. Just to show you just how kind of a classy of a guy he really is. He gets it. He gets the game. He gets how hard it is to maintain a career and to do what he's been doing, but as well as with Marc-Andre Fleury. So I just thought that was a really classy move.
Also, last I thought was right up there with that. He scores the goal, little celebration, teammates congratulate him, and then he went to the blue line and looked up at Gretzky and did a little bow. Again, respect for the game, right? Another thing that you don't necessarily see, but if you kind of sit up late at night trying to figure out if Jeff's going to call you at 3 a.m, sometime between midnight, 1:30, it was like, hold on, they didn't show that on the mainstream, but then all of a sudden they showed a little bit longer their clip. Pretty cool.
Yeah, it
awesome.
was awesome. It was real cool. Doc, take your headsets off. You don't like this, but I wanted Ovechkin to score one more goal because I'll tell you what, Wayne Gretzky's wife and Ovechkin's wife, are they beautiful, beautiful women. Unbelievable. And I wanted to see Ovechkin give a high five to his young son and his older son again. I thought that was really cool down in the corner.
Yeah, but I think there's ulterior motives because I think this game Sunday is a national broadcast, right?
Oh yeah.
So I think there's other things playing here.
I'm not sure he bounced that one off the goaltender's top shoulder. If it was 6 inches higher, it was in the net. So I think, again, I don't think you can back off on Ovechkin when he shoots the puck. If you're a hockey player and you understand the game, if you watch Ovechkin, he is consistent. He wants to score, and he doesn't care about anything else. He doesn't care if it's on or off TV.
Well, when he scored his second goal, puck went behind the net, and it was just so cool. He just pushed that defenseman away from him and got opening. I think we got Eddie, 3 minutes here?
So Valley Imports, the hockey guys are brought to you by Valley Imports, our presenting sponsor, and Valley Pre-Owned, your best price leader in the region. Find your next vehicle at valleyimports.com.
Hey, Eddie, they introduced Dane Jackson as UND's 17th head hockey coach at the University of North Dakota. And I'll tell you what, Dane Jackson gave me some goosebumps when he was speaking. Now, we all love Brad. Brad was a classmate, a teammate, and we wish Brad the success. And whatever happened with regard to his termination, it happened. And you know what? We can't do anything about it. But the one thing we can do is support the University of North Dakota hockey team, support Dane Jackson, support the other assistant coaches, the players. But when they introduced Dane Jackson, let's listen to him. I had goosebumps after hearing Dane Jackson in his press conference. And I say 100%. That has been the character of the University of North Dakota Fighting Sioux hockey team since its inception. Now, Doc Phil, we have a special guest coming on. Is he coming on at 9:18 or 9:30? Pat Ferschweiler, head coach, Western Michigan, to talk about his big game against Denver Pioneers in the Final Four of the NCHC National Tournament. What time is Pat Ferschweiler coming on our show?
I think he's on at 9:15. I think we said 9:15 to 9:30. So hopefully Addison's getting him on the horn.
9:19, we'll have him on. Hey, Jeff,
Okay.
do you remember who you thought would be in the final?
You know, I said Denver, Western Michigan, Boston, and Penn State. I don't know. What did I write down?
No, I don't remember, but I missed on one. I had Cornell, and they almost did it. BU, I had Cornell, Western, Denver, Penn State. Doc, what did you have?
I had Western, Denver, and then I had Michigan State and BC.
Well, listen, if you want to have an opportunity, listen. Pat Ferschweiler, head coach, Western Michigan University, will be on at 9:18.
And thanks to our intermission sponsor with Ham's Beer, brewed in the true family tradition. Thank you to Beverage Wholesalers.
Welcome back. We have one of the best college coaches in the country going to be facing another NCHC team. There has to be some type of conspiracy going on. Those two teams need to be in the championship game. But Coach Pat Ferschweiler of Western Michigan University, thank you for joining us this morning. Again and again, we love you.
Guys, thanks for having me on. It's every time, it's one of my most fun talks of the year, and happy to be here.
Say, Coach, quick, Doc Phil and I were talking last night, and the million-dollar question we came up with is, what does a coach do to their team and the mentality of their players for a 2-week layoff before the national championship starts?
Don't take advice from the school that was out in the Big Ten, Coach.
Yeah,
I think one of our
the
superpowers as a team, right? One of our superpowers as a team this year, and what's led to lots of our success is our ability to stay in the moment and present in the day. So every guy is 100% present every day right here. And so we're focused on having the best practice we can. And we know that the only thing we're thinking about is next Thursday. Next Thursday is our most important game of the year. We're going to approach it like that. And we've done that all year long. We haven't looked forward. We haven't got ahead of ourselves. And we certainly haven't looked back, because you can never affect or change the past. So we're here, we're present, and we've done a great job of it this week, and we're looking forward to some prep next week.
Say, Pat, I've got a couple questions for you. First of all, congratulations on being named Coach of the Year, both the NCHC and the College Hockey News. So that's
congratulations,
awesome.
Coach.
Yeah, and no question, well deserved. And I know that the coach is just part of the process, and the team is the other part. And you can't be Coach of the Year without a great team, and you've got a great team. But I have a question for you about just what Jeff was talking about. It seems like it's not uncommon that the national championship game is played on Thursday night, for quite a few years. Is there any thought or any talk amongst the coaches or the rules committee or whoever makes it up to reseed the teams after the Final Four has been determined, so that you're not playing, your interconference foe for the fifth time, in the season? And at least at that point, make it kind of a true Frozen Four. I mean, it just seems like that constantly happens where, the NCHC, those two teams are playing each other on a Thursday night.
Yeah, no, we love the reseeding. I just think because we do it in all our other things, our conference tournaments, our conference playoffs, it's always reseeded. So you go, the top seed plays whatever the lowest seed is. And it didn't work out this time. And currently Denver and us in the polls anyway are rated 1-2 in the country.
Right.
And certainly the NCHC would love the opportunity to meet in the finals rather than the semifinals, but it's certainly league-wise, I think, it also guarantees one of us into the final. Denver's, they're defending national championship champions. They have championship pedigree. They've been there. They've done that. But we've had some success, mild success against Denver, and we certainly have belief in our group.
Absolutely. It's going to be
go ahead, Doc.
No, it's just going to be a great Frozen Four. I'm looking forward to it as well. Can't wait to get going.
Pat, one of the things that, to compare and contrast Western Michigan to Denver, I think the big distinction is Western Michigan is heavier. Denver's got massive amount of speed, but you got speed up through your centerman also. But your team is heavy, takes the body, just wears them down. And I going through the regional, you've seen the teams trying to take the body on Alex Bump, and it doesn't work. All it does is mentally get him engaged. It's almost like let the sleeping giant sleep. They wake him up, wake him up, wake him up. And I don't know how you stop him, Coach. He's one heck of a player.
Boy, Alex Bump's a special young man and a special college hockey player. There's no doubt, and that'll translate right into the National Hockey League. Exactly what you just talked about is his height, his hockey IQ, his sense, his playmaking ability have always been off the charts. But what he's added in his 2 years here at Western Michigan is world-class compete. So that guy, he knows the moment. he leans into the moment, and he's ready to compete against anyone. So we're proud and happy to have Alex Bump on our side for sure.
And we had talked a couple of weeks ago when we had you on that our radio signal and have an affiliate out, so we reach into the Minot, North Dakota airwaves. And I'm a Minot magician, come from Minot myself. And you know, the unique thing about Naring is even though he's, 6'4", and he's got long legs, he's got quick feet. And when he made that move around that defenseman and then busted his tail quickly to the front of the net to get the shot for your player to come in and get the rebound, that's a difficult move, and it's more difficult for someone that's his size. But he's got quickness, and I love his compete level, Coach. It's another stud on your team.
There's no doubt. We recruited Zach for his compete, his work ethic. You know, and now he's legit 6'5", and that's a freshman doing that in double overtime. We talked, Minnesota State plays man-on-man, so if you can cut back your man and beat him, you've got to call your own number. There's not anyone else open because they're going to stay with their guys. So call your own number. It's exactly what happened. Zach cuts back on the wall, kicks his leg out. He's a big, strong young man, takes it to the net with poise, delivers a shot on. Grant Sukinski gets a rebound, and the Broncos advance. But couldn't be, you know, Zach Naring is such a motivated kid, young man, inner drive. Kid comes to work every day, loves hockey. What a joy to coach. I mean, 30-plus point, freshman season is amazing. And we just the future's so bright for him. He's going to play in the National Hockey League for the Winnipeg Jets someday.
100%.
And Coach, what's interesting there, he came out of what you call structure, at least I call structure. He came out of the USHL, and the last thing people ever expect is for you to produce in your freshman year in college. So little kudos to yourself. That how do you, as a coach, recognize, hey, I just need to stay out of the way and let this kid go out and play that I know he can play from watching him. But explain to us how you have to let the reins go and let the horses run, right?
What we do, and we press forward, obviously. Denver and us are one team in the country in goals scored, and we started in the top five, I think, since I've been back here, close to it. So I've been back here as a coach. Our players, we teach them and talk about attacking at all times, staying on your toes. We relate everything we can to offense. We sneak some defense with the lowest goals against, I think, in the country as well. Zach, he had a rough start to his junior career as he got a concussion early. And, he only had 14 points his junior season, that one that he did play. And, the coaches there were, he's not ready here, blah, 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 blah. I said, no chance. We know his skill set. The skill set translates to what Western Michigan does. That's work, offense. And what we do here is, I always tell them, I'm going to coach you in the black and the white. You're going to make plays with your hockey sense, your talent, skill level in the gray. That's what we can live with. As long as it's not nonsensical, we're going to let guys make plays and encourage them to make plays that are possible. I'm not talking behind the back, through the legs, when it's not there, blah, blah, blah. I'm talking about real hockey plays. And we'll say often to them when they come to the bench, hey, that was a great thought. Execution wasn't there. Let's make sure we execute next time. And it might even be off a turnover, but we never want a player from Western Michigan playing with fear of failure. We want them only to see the path to success, and that's what we talk about and coach every day.
So along those lines, Pat, when you go out and recruit players, do you recruit the best player out there, or do you have an idea what your team's going to be like, and you're looking for a particular skill set in a recruit as you go out and trying to convince these kids to come to Kalamazoo?
Yeah, Pat. Here's the Coach Ferschweiler. Here's the deal. We've got to thank some people, and we're going to go for a break. And you know what this means?
Okay.
You're going to have to come back again and join us because we got more questions. Coach Pat Ferschweiler, University of Michigan.
Western
Michigan. I don't get it all wrong, but
those two.
but listen, we wish you the best of success. Take down the Pioneers.
Go win.
Go win the national championship for us, would you?
Put a
Thanks for having me again, guys. Appreciate it.
Put a smile on Izzy's face for us, would you, Coach?
Will do.
All right. Thank you, Coach.
Wow.
Okay.
Can you after hearing that, and Doc, you've known him for a while, but the only thing that you might not know is that some days you look at the thing and you say, where did this guy come from? Anybody that was willing to be in the ECHL for a couple of years probably has a desire to be in hockey and to be coaching. There's a long list of guys that played in the ECHL that ended up having a stellar coaching career. So we'll be back on the Hockey Guys. This period sponsored by Citywide Electric. CitywideElectricND.com for all of your electrical needs. So we'll be back here on the Hockey Guys. Geezer and Beaker. Hey, Beaker, cheers.
Hey, cheers, buddy. Hey, we're making Lauren a legend up in the Munich area, and we really like legends listening to our radio show, like each and every one of you, because we're the best college hockey radio show in the country.
Always nice when the second in command stops in with a smile and says, hey, I'm going to have a Hams here with the hockey guys. So thanks, Scott, for stopping in.
He grabbed the Hams and he left. Where'd he go?
It's probably okay.
He drinks alone.
It's probably okay.
It's probably okay.
Hey, a little shout out to the Sleddies down in Destin, Florida. Got to make sure I give a little shout out to let them know that good for them. They're on the beach, sunshine and blue sky, because they picked the right week to be gone from this part of the world.
You know what? You had said say hi to or go in for Izzy. Why don't you explain that? Because I don't think our listeners know, but some may know.
Well, Jeff once in a while gives a little shout out to the Minot people, but in this game of the life, I just don't understand. We're lacking some Midwest. We heard the coach say he's looking at Western Canada and the Midwest as his proving grounds, and I think he needs to zip in a little bit and call it 701 and 218, because I don't care if you're a Gopher fan or a Sioux fan. Looks like you have some winning traditions when you take somebody out at 218 or 701 to be involved in your team. If you're looking to build a team, take a look at the kids that are committed.
Well, the Western Michigan has two players from War Road, two brothers. And I heard, and I don't know if it's true, I hate to repeat this, but are those two Saluskis? Am I saying that right? Are they Kel Marvin's grandsons?
Somewhere in the world, there's probably a connection there, yes.
And so, Kel, if that is accurate, maybe someone would want to call in to whatever phone number we have here, 293-9000.
I invited Izzy in last Saturday, and he said that he didn't have my phone number. So, Jeff, you can imagine how hard it is to get a hold of Eddie Christian in Fargo, North Dakota.
But you know what? Let's it's funny. If Coach Frank Serratori at the Air Force Academy, he said it many times. The most important, the biggest goal scored in the Ralph Engelstad Arena was scored by Holy Cross, not a North Dakota team, against the Gophers, and this has become known as the Holy Cross game. So for you Gopher fans out there, you have two things. One, the Holy Cross game, and then we have one more for you. Here's the Holy Cross broadcast from their perspective. So
Atlantic Hockey,
the 16th ranked team,
and they weren't in the house this year in the regional.
Yeah, taking on the number one team in the country, and Doc Phil, that has and will always go down for every college hockey fan as the Holy Cross goal.
Yeah, I think that was Phil Kessel's last game as a Gopher, actually. And I think it's funny because every now and then, if you look around Ralph Engelstad Arena, you'll see somebody with an HC jersey.
Yeah, you do. You do.
And more of them show up on the Gopher weekend.
Yeah, exactly. And it is pretty funny from that standpoint. I enjoy seeing that. We'll have to get Pat back on because I really wanted to kind of get into that. How do those guys go out and really, are you picking talent? Are you picking guys that'll fit your team? And Eddie, you've kind of been in the coaching ranks and a little bit now and then. Jeff too, with the younger kids. Or do you just have the best available players and you figure out how that works in your system? And that's a lot of fun stuff to talk about, the nuts and bolts.
Oh, 100%. We should have asked Pat, and I got your text, Doc. We should have asked him to hang over, and Pat would have done so.
But you know what? Maybe there'll be a national championship reason we can call him.
I like how you think, Doc.
100%. Now, we have the Holy Cross goal. Right, Eddie and Doc?
Well, you did that one already.
And here's the deal. I'll tell you, there was a sweet owner who had called down to Holy Cross and asked if he could buy a Holy Cross jersey to put up in his suite. And they said, no, we don't sell any jerseys. And they said, what about in your sports shop? We don't have one. But, however, they did find a Holy Cross jersey. So there's a couple of those jerseys hanging in a few suites.
And by the way, that isn't untrue, because the toughest jersey to get in college hockey is American International, because those schools don't have enough of a budget to be able to afford jerseys every year.
Well, and especially now, because they're going down, so that'll be even.
So the Holy Cross comment is about the same. When you go to the Atlantic and watch the games, they are not revenue generating. They are cash drains. So college hockey has the rich and the poor, as we've heard from the Saratoris many times. You have the rich and the poor.
But I will tell you, there's some damn good hockey teams out there. But, Doc, Eddie, now we have a new thing for the Gophers. We have the Holy Cross goal, and now we have the trip. The trip. We have two famous broadcasts that'll go down in Gophers history.
Is this Micheletti's call?
Wally Shaver. So now we have the trip.
Two things. First off, Wally sounded Canadian in that clip. True or false? That was a Canadian call.
I would say, because the Canadians always complain more about the officiating.
Second, Wally, which one was it? Was it a trip or did he fall down? You said he got tripped and he fell down. You were exactly right. The ref had to make a decision. Did he trip or did he fall down?
Well, we've saved this clip, Doc, as the trip. Taking the mighty Gophers, who I thought, frankly, had the team to go all the way and win a national champion this year. Boy, Rozelle has played well for Chicago. Woods last night with his speed. I mean, and Snuggerud scored his first goal. Yeah, they had some, what?
And Leonard scored his first goal and got congratulated by Gretzky because it was at the right rink at the right time in the right place.
Yeah, he could say that when I scored, Ovechkin thanked me, and so did Gretzky. You'll always remember the date and event. Isn't that cool? Doc, there's some awesome players. The Gophers had it. They had it, and they ran into a buzzsaw. And I would have liked to seen the Gophers up there and have a real legitimate shot in the Final Four to win a national championship.
Well, let me tell you, it was right in front of them, and it was in front of them all night long. They were ahead 4-2. They were playing not to lose in the third period, clear and simple. And if they would have kept their foot on the gas, playing like they did the first two periods, it probably would have had a better outcome for the Gophers. But they failed to do that. And you could see that on the bench. There wasn't much enthusiasm on that bench when they would pan over there on the TV side. So, they had their opportunity to win. And I still don't think that was a trip. I know Ryan Chesley, he's an awesome skater. And it takes more than just a little tap on his shin guards to bring him down. I'm not so sure that perhaps that was embellished a little bit. And I would hope it was, because you want to try and draw a penalty, in overtime. But I think it's been played too much that was a trip and it should have been called. We had Mike on and he explained it, and I think you got to let it go. It's unfortunate for Gopher fans, but the fact remains they had the opportunity to win several times, and they elected not to by not keeping their foot on the gas. Plain and simple.
I like the game plan of let the play continue, There was a quick goal after the event. Everyone take a deep breath, rewind it, look at it in the penalty box, study that to see if it was a penalty or not. Now, I'm not saying to do that in every play, but if you're in overtime and you as an official say, wait, we're going to let the players decide it, and a penalty, no matter how minor, results in the other team getting advantage, going down and scoring, I think they have to take a look at that. And I'm going to say just like this, my son in West Fargo Packers were down by 1 goal against Grand Forks Central in the state tournament. Grand Forks Central had 2 extra guys on the ice. The referee blew the whistle for too many men on the ice and told the coaches, we're not going to call it because we don't want that call to influence the game. The end result is Grand Forks Central went down and scored 1 in overtime. And it benefits one team and hurts the other. The call's got to be made consistently throughout the game. Eddie.
Hey, thanks to our regular weekly sponsors, Red Pepper, Holstonson, Askew Wealth Management, Carpet World, Welton's Tire Service, Dakota Refrigeration, Bag & Strinden, and the Fargo Force. And we appreciate the intermission sponsor, Gateway Chev, where you can save big on a Chevy, Silverado, Equinox, or Blazer. Go online at fargochevrolet.com. We'll be back here on the Hockey Guys to wrap up this week's discussion with a look at the leagues. Whoa, the big old deep sexy voice that Jeff put on for the intro back in.
That wasn't me. That was Will.
Yeah, I've heard that voice before. Hey, that's
favorite.
the old college at the Down and Under that you used to use. So I get it. Yeah, you're good.
Hey, if I told you had a beautiful body, would you hold it against me?
NCHC, 2 for 2. Hockey East, 1 for 6. Big Ten, 1 for 4. And when we get all done with this, you say, hold on, is there a conspiracy theory in order to get the NCCHC out of? But when you get all done, it doesn't matter how you bracket it. 2 for 2 is 100% playoff hockey. I think Coach Furschweiler mentioned it. The NCHC, you have every game you have to play, every shift, every period. Every game is playoff hockey. And it's nice to watch the rest of the leagues flow around and go out there and do all they do. But how do you go out and say that Hockey East with 6 teams, one's left in an overtime winner?
No, my whole point with that was I would like to have them play Saturday night instead of Thursday night. Is there a way that you don't have to have your conference rivals playing on the semifinal game?
No, I'm with you, but I'm just saying, I'm just going through, going into this, if you looked at it, right? 12 teams. NCHC went 2 for 2 through the playoffs.
Right.
Hockey East ended up 1 out of 6. Big Ten 1 out of 4. I'm going to go all the way back. The pairwise is not built to define the best teams in college hockey.
Agreed.
The pairwise is designed for the NCAA to try to figure out how to have more places. Again, everybody's chasing the NCHC.
Right. No, internationally they reseed, as you go through, and that I think that's real fair. But it's just a question out there, and I don't know if it'll ever completely be solved. But okay,
Yeah,
just two
I
things.
did like Coach Furschweiler's comment. We know that we actually have somebody in the final because if you go the other direction, the potential exists to not have that happen. So then they would be lobbying the other way too.
Absolutely. Hey, just two things I want to follow up, Jeff. So, Jeff, they didn't go in and look to see if that was a tripping because you can't do that.
No, they never did. And I was advocating that they should have.
Yeah, but they can't because they didn't call a penalty. So that's the rule. If you don't call a penalty, you can't go in and review that for a penalty. You can review it to upcharge it, but you can't go back and review it if you haven't called a penalty on the play.
I think, Doc, I think the rules should be if it's a continuation from that event, like this was, right? It was a giveaway pickup. They went down and scored.
It was a zone away. And I'll go back. I'll go back. If you want to go back and it's out there, go look at Perbic Dive, Minnesota overtime win, offensive zone, St. Cloud State. So the St. Cloud State people will tell you, you know what? Karma's awesome. Motts, you called Perpic for a dive. The St. Cloud State fans are saying, you know what? The Gopher took a dive.
Well, I'm going to change the subjects here. What do you two think with this open weekend? Why don't we expand the playoffs? Because you have one open weekend, right?
225 Porto players in college hockey with the opening of the Canadian Junior League. So you now have building a program, a new coach, North Dakota. You have over 400 players that you have to go out and figure out how to recruit. So my question is, next year should either be a championship year. You're probably on the hot seat, right, Jeff?
Well, I'll tell you this: with this open weekend, Doc, expanding it from 16 to 32, right? That just one weekend knocks it down to 16, so it doesn't delay the season any longer. And if it produces more money.
No, listen, you need to go back and understand why they did that. So they used to do it where you'd have the championship weekend. You'd have basketball and hockey. What they found was that the viewership significantly dropped when they had them both going on at the same time. So they decided to give it an extra week so that they could gain more viewers for the hockey finals the week after the basketball finals. That was the plain and simple nuts and bolts.
And it's working.
And it's working, and it gives us a weekend to add one more round of games.
Yeah. But I think you make a good point, too. If you could expand the field, we could have some regional competition at this point during this weekend when there's nothing really going on except trying to watch Ovechkin score or break Gretzky's goal. So yeah, I think that's a real valid point, and I like it.
And I think with parity,
but it's baseball season for most of us. Hockey season ends. You pick up another sport. You go through the summer enjoying the water skiing and getting yourself in shape. You come into the fall, play football, and then all of a sudden the ice is in the first week in December. Because if you follow the pattern of the weather, hockey wasn't designed to be played the whole year.
It almost is, though.
Well, it doesn't. I look at it this way: it doesn't expand the.
No, it doesn't. No, you're right.
And it's an open weekend. You could just move everything back, have a first round, and I look at the parity with the number of players coming in. The numbers are there, the quality is there. Unlike it was, I would say, 20 years ago with fewer players.
I'm going to jump into Doc Johnson's world now, hopefully, right? What you're doing is you're introducing more injuries in college hockey, and you're taking away the ability for kids to jump. When they lose out, we were watching pro hockey players that played last week. There's nothing better than letting those fans see that Snuggie and see that Leonard and see those kids get a chance to play in the NHL. And if you expand this thing out, you give no opportunity for any of those kids to go on and play in the NHL in the spring season. So you got to be careful here. You're developing players to the NHL, right? And what's our goal is to have college hockey be the feeder of the NHL. Let's not lose track of the goal of College Holly is to develop hockey players to play at the highest level. Don't screw it up.
I look at that on-campus first-round play. You would have 32 games played with the benefit of getting that income.
And how many injuries do you come out of that with, and how many careers are cut short?
Unknown. But you bring up a good point. I mean, that's the risk. You know, you are going to risk the potential for some kids to be injured.
A 32 against a 1 is a bad situation.
20 seconds, boys.
A 32 against a 1 is a bad situation because that 32 team is going to come out and play and do whatever they have to with a one-game shot.
I don't think you want it to go that way. You'd want to have some first-round buys. I mean, the way that you would want to make that, you'd have some first-round buys.
And maybe it doesn't go to 32, but you start playing 22
Hey, thank you
and 16.
to our presenting sponsor, Valley Imports. We appreciate the support here of the hockey guys, and we'll be back next week to have a discussion that continues.
This
gases and odors. Designed with the whole family in mind, Pet Perfect features built-in protection from staining, fading, and pet hair. Make tails wag with Shaw Floor's Pet Perfect. Designed for you, perfect for